Welcome everybody for this community call for Falco. Little reminder, as every week, we are following the code of conduct of CNCF. So please be kind to each other. If you don't want to show your face because the talk will be recorded, just turn off your camera. For today, we don't have any highlights, except someone wants to add something right now. And if not, we can follow with today's agenda. So Luca, please talk about the updates for the upcoming release of Falco, please.
Thank you so much. Sorry for the noise, but anyways, I just wanted to give a quick update on the upcoming Falco 0.32.1 release, which will happen in about 2 weeks' time, or a bit more actually, if you read the issue. So basically, you can see that the two big things that we're going to introduce are basically gvisor and ARM. So I wanted to add just a couple of things. One, I'm a bit sorry about people that might be introducing PRs in this time, for example, in these few days, because gvisor and ARM are taking a lot of priority because we need to get something out for release. So something might look like it's held for a little bit, but it's just a couple of weeks. It's not long, and because I am pestering maintainers a bit to get reviews over the important thing as a release manager. And the other is that starting from next week, we are probably going to have RCs and stuff and releases that people can test. And it'd be great if someone is able to and has time. If someone can give us some time, of course, I will update the channel, the Falco channel, when we have something that people can test in order to find bugs or compilation issues or this kind of things. For example, Mauro is the best because he already found something, and I'm very happy to have merged the PR from Mauro, to have reviewed the PR from Mauro today. It was absolutely awesome. And especially, we are very interested in knowing if someone actually uses ARM in production, because that's really brand new. And so if someone can give a, just take a couple of minutes to test and see if new RC releases work, it would be great. We, of course, right now you can also do it by trying to compile the things, but we are going to publish something of course, in the dev releases that we have starting from next week, so people can actually try it. And that would be it for the release work.
Just a question, Luca. You know much more than me the release process. Do we have a period of freeze before release? Just to make people aware, we don't integrate PR if they are after that time.
Yeah, so basically, usually a few days earlier than the actual release, there's the fixed version of the driver. So that's the one that already has pretty much everything fixed. Right now, I believe we can be, we are only prioritizing PRs that are in one of those topics that are part of the release, or are of course bug fixes and security related. I don't know. I believe last time perhaps Leonardo added an actual code freeze date. I'm not sure if I should put it in the issue that there is a specific cutoff time, but I think anyways, starting from next week, there's all the content will be in, and there will be only bug fixes from then. Does it sound right to you?
Yeah, sure. I just thought it could be nice each time we announce a date for release, we can also say to people, after this date, your PR will not be in the next release. You have to wait for the next one. Just to make people aware, don't wait to be integrated. If they just
I completely agree with Tom on this. We have to fix a date, and after this date, we cannot merge other programs.
Yeah, I think we have that, but we need to make it public, or more communicate it a little bit more.
I agree. We have never communicated it just because usually it happened just a few days before the release, and we every time decided just the last minutes. But I totally agree with Luca, but also with Thomas, that we have to communicate that. We have to write down a date every time we phrase the feature. That's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do so for the next release, the 33 release, 0.33. We will communicate about the date of the release and the date of the first day of the frozen period. Maybe if we need more, just in the mailing list, but in the Slack channel, I think we have to be more transparent about our agenda for everything. It's the same pattern will be for the libs, because we will have soon the versions with tags for libs, for drivers. Everything will be really nice and squared. And it could be nice to have also an agenda about each exact date for the one here, next one here. Okay, thank you all. Jason, you have the two next topics.
Yeah, the first one is, the first step I just wanted to share with everyone the research and the early development that I've been facing over the past few days. So to give a bit of context about the issue, before we had the plugin system, so before January, everything was just syscalls and eventually Kubernetes audit logs, right? And syscalls were the only event source supported by Falco, and everything in a single thread. So nobody really noticed this limitation. Since the plugin system came in, we basically implemented everything just as system calls. So this means that right now, if you have Falco, you can just run either it in plugin mode or in system call mode. This, since the release of the plugin system became quite a bit of a limitation for many users, especially since Kubernetes audit log support was ported to be a plugin. So we really need to get Falco able to have multiple event sources active in parallel and keep sort of feature parity of having two different instances of Falco with two single sources active. So this is kind of a big initiative. I did some early research over the past few weeks with the help of Leonardo too, and a lot of preliminary work has already been done before Falco 0.32 to make this happen. And we are in a good shape right now. So this means that the code is kind of ready to host this new change, but it will be plenty, a big list of changes. I've tried my best to document the whole thing as for the requirements and all the technical constraints and limitations that we have in this issue, and all the progress and all the rationality between every change is documented here. So if anyone here or in the channel is interested in working or co-working or reviewing this, I will be super happy to have a conversation in that issue, and it's the right place to centralize all the discussion about this. So definitely this is out of reach for the upcoming patch release of Falco. Hopefully this will be for Falco 0.30 that will happen by the end of September. I'm confident I will be able to make it, but you never know. So if you see a bunch of new PRs coming from me on Falco, these are basically all of them are related to this topic. So if any questions about this?
I just want to say thank you because of this. This is incredible.
Totally perfect. Mind-blowing, really. I just have one question for you, Jason. Do you think we can? I think it will be able. Do you think it's available to link this issue to a request we have for months, even for years now? People are asking a way to disable the syscall collection in Falco.
Yeah. So this is ironically, this is already happening, because if you run it with a plugin, you don't have syscalls anymore. So those section of users should already be happy. The problem is that many users actually want to use both, and you cannot do this. I will also add that if you run plugins mode, you don't have to run Falco with sudo privileges anymore, which is also an issue has been an issue for a while, I see. So after this change happened, we'll probably need to revise most of the issues we have in the Falco repository, because many of them will probably be solved by this.
From my point of view, for the user experience, it's not a problem if we can't run both syscall collections and plugins, because the use cases are really different, and the ways to manage Falco, how it runs inside your system, are totally different. But having a Falco instances able to run different plugins at the same time is a really nice feature, especially for systems. It's a nice feature. Whatever the plugins you are using, if you can run in a Falco, a bunch of Falco instances, all pull plugins, and another one all push plugins, it will be really nice.
Yeah, I agree with this. You know, the goal of this will be syscalls already consume a lot of CPU generally, especially in high workload use cases. So it will be hard to imagine having those active with plugins at the same time. But this was a reality before for Kubernetes audit logs. So one of the first goals will be to bring back that feature for all those users that were using it. A second thing is that as for now, we couldn't even imagine use case in which syscalls and plugins were active at the same time. So we didn't really have any, I don't know, plugins can also be attached to the host for some additional feature. So let's say that you want to monitor some weird networking thing, or you want to collect CPU usage metrics and all that kind of stuff. You can, once this happens, you will be able to have syscalls and not those data sources as well active at the same time. So this will probably be a big feature enabler for all those plugins that bring additional information about the host too, that are suitable to be a daemon set on Kubernetes as well. So, there will be plenty of fun stuff if we really can make this happen.
So, Jason, I just wanted to mention that we definitely at SecureWorks have a use case where we would want to be collecting syscalls and using plugins at the same time. We have a Linux sensor that monitors for syscalls, but we would also want to do things like, for instance, maybe writing a plugin that would harvest HTTPS traffic using a uprobe on like libTLS or something. So like we would possibly do something like that, or other plugins, but yeah, we definitely would like to do that. And in fact, I assumed that you could do both. I was just making the assumption you could use plugins and syscalls at the same time. So
you can do that currently. Mostly nobody really tackled the problem of multi-threading in Falco before, so this is kind of a new thing. And the goal will be to have all this in parallel to reduce the overhead to the bare minimum. And this is definitely one of the the thing you mentioned. I really hope to see all this stuff happen in the future. It's technically not feasible today, so really hoping we can get this done and eventually open the door for all this great stuff you mentioned.
Cool, thanks.
I'm just curious, what's the other use case for people not wanting syscalls?
This is something cannot really predict, but I can tell if you scroll down at the end of this issue, Thomas, there's been plenty of discussions about this, and I tried to gather, all the ones that I could from the Falco Slack channel. So, there's plenty of people asking for this. So probably I'm not the right one to imagine the use case, but there are use cases definitely.
They asked for it basically for Kubernetes audit log. They wanted to monitor audit logs without syscalls collection. So
can't we just add a flag to have the not driver since?
Yeah, but you don't exactly, but you would not have syscalls in that case. There's people actually deploying Falco together, both Kubernetes audit log and syscalls on the same node.
And I was telling for people who don't want the syscalls.
If you don't want the syscalls, you can definitely make it work even right now with Falco just in plugin mode. That's a use case that we already satisfy.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But eventually we'll need the switch for that.
Exactly.
So the user can choose whether to have just some plugins and not syscalls or altogether.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The end goal of this will be to provide total freedom to the user. The other end goal will be to make every change just in Falco and not in libs, so that basically libsysp stays mono event source, but the Falco application is able to manage many inspectors in parallel to achieve this. So yeah.
I totally agree on the point that we have to leave the user free to decide how to use Falco depending on their needs. Because, for example, there are use cases where you install Falco directly on the host, and in that case, it's really convenient that Falco allow you to use multiple sources. On the other hand, for example, in a cluster, you may prefer to have multiple Falco deployment, because in some situation is better. For example, for Kubernetes log, you could just have one pod only for the Kubernetes log and a daemon set for the syscall. One thing that I believe we have to guarantee is that either you use one Falco instance with multiple source, or you install or deploy multiple Falco instance, the output must be the same. In the later case, for example, you could use Falco Sidekick to aggregate the output of multiple instances. But what I would love to get is something like function parity.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the end goal, and that's one of the requirements that I try to make as much as as explicit as possible here in the document. And if any of you is curious, I left the comments trying to explain all the rationale that led me to to this solution specifically down below after the first section. Yeah, there. That's basically two different hypotheses that I tried to hypothesize, and I ended up thinking that the solution proposed in the description was the best one especially for performance and feature parity.
Cool.
Okay. If no other questions on this topic are there, I can go for the next one, Thomas, which is basically many of you probably noticed that we have a new tracking issue for missing security related syscalls. And thank you, Andrea, for populating this. This is awesome. There's actually many of them. Not all of them are the same priority, but we thought that I discussed with some other community member. One of the good ways we can tackle this problem is probably by opening a working group. And this is mostly a proposal. I never actually did this in this community. So I don't know what you guys think, but a working group will basically be an initiative in the community in which, in this case, someone kind of gets assigned a syscall, and it's probably be a community sustained project to implement as most of those as we can. So just let me know what you think about this. I'm just gathering opinions here. We can also discuss this in the channel in the future. It's just, it would be cool to achieve as many of these as we can, and coordinating as a group will be the best way to do it. So we can.
Yeah, in my opinion, this is a very awesome idea. I could help people implementing it. For example, we could help, or maybe me and other maintainers, maybe that has more experience on that, could help people in implementing new syscall. And I don't know which is the right mode, maybe a working group or just help on the Slack channel. But yes, I think that we can try to do something together with all the community members.
Yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention is that specifically for system call implementation in the drivers and in libscat and sysp, we provided some sort of walkthrough on how to do it for newcomer contributors. This is in the falco.org blog posts. There is a cool blog post, I think, from Lorenzo about setting up a working environment, a development environment. And then, yeah, exactly. This one I wrote, I think, a few months ago with Federico on, what's the best practices and what's, the whole thought process about implementing a new syscall in the system. And this is critical for maintaining Falco, an high quality security tool, and a good way to contributing if anyone is interested. So just leaving the notion here, we can discuss about this better, in the next few weeks. This is
Yeah,
after the release, I guess, because there's plenty of work ongoing right now in Leeds.
yeah. I would add also that this topic may be related with the new probe, because also there we have to implement a lot of syscall. Right now, I have implemented just a bunch of that, but there are maybe 300 of syscall to implement. So it's a huge work for just one person. And yeah, and this working group could help also on this topic, I think.
With just one person, you're referring to yourself, Andrea.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is all from my side.
Thank you, Janet. And the next two ones are from Leo.
Okay, this actually is not a point, it's just a request of help, basically. Let me explain. We have a lot of duties and issue with the current infra, especially with Circle CI. We are thinking about get rid of Circle CI, but also there are other issues that I recently discussed with Max, Joe, and Michele. For example, we are thinking about using more GitHub Action, and I know there are a lot of you that would like to use GitHub Action. We are thinking about what move on GitHub Action and what move on Pro. For who doesn't know, we have a cluster, an in-house cluster. Basically, it's deployed on AWS with the Pro installed. That this cluster basically offers some jobs, but also control our bot Poiana. And usually everything that in Falco is considered official or regards the approval workflow is implemented through Pro. So I don't want to jeopardize the discussion on this in the community call. Indeed, our idea, me, Max, and Michele, is to start a new working group. Actually, we had a working group for test infra. All the current maintainers of test infra began the work from the working group. We thought that probably we want to start a new working group maybe after the release. Also because some maintainers are busy at the moment, some are not so active. So we need a lot of help. We need help on a different level because we need help on maintaining the cluster. We need help on deciding what to do with our jobs if we want to move them on. For example, we could decide to move everything on GitHub Action. I don't know. Or we can decide to use an hybrid solution. In my opinion, using both GitHub Action and Pro would be the best option, but we can discuss about that. And so, Jack, I just wanted to invite you if someone is interested and making part of this this effort, just contact us or write in the channel.
I think you should ask for help also in the developer list, mailing list, and in the Slack channel. I'm thinking about guys like Carlos Panato. He is really amazing with the CI, any CI in the world. He helped me so much time with Falco cycle.
So, I know. So, indeed, by the way, I want to say thanks to him because he's trying to fix a problem in the chat. I totally know. Yes, I will write there. This basically was just an anticipation because I talked with Max and Michele this morning. Anyway, currently the most important thing, in my opinion, is to get rid of Circle CI because we are having a lot of issue with Circle CI, but also there is too much stuff on our cluster, and everything is getting slower and slower. So maybe we probably need help with that very soon.
For the cluster behind Pro, last time I checked, all nodes were almost at the overhead was really important for almost all nodes of the cluster. Maybe we could ask Amazon to add some nodes in the clusters, but basically,
I have not dig into that, but I believe there is also a configuration problem. Maybe the setup is too old. It needs some renovation, and we don't have time. We don't have time. I know, for example, Jonah Jones helped a lot in the past, but he is currently busy. So we have just basically we need a working group, exactly because I believe we have to design again our test infra, maybe not from scratch, but we have a lot of issues that we have to solve. We have to solve. And I just want to add another point that regard mostly GitHub Action. I know some folks asked me if they can use GitHub Action in some project. In my opinion, yes, we can use GitHub Action even now. The only thing that I would discuss before proceeding is basically all official artifact. And with official artifact, I would say, for example, the Docker image of Falco, the package of Falco, but also, for example, plugins that are becoming official artifact, currently are managed by CircleCI or Pro. I believe that we have to find a standard way to manage official artifact. For everything else, I believe it's fine to use whatever you want, like GitHub Action or Pro.
It was to be my question. Do you think in this working group we should also think about standard ways?
Yes,
or
exactly.
Any science we choose. Maybe exactly. We need to share things between the repositories of the Falco security organization, because right now, from one repository to another, everything changes. It's really hard to follow. So, okay.
Well, consider this. We have different level. We have incubating project and official project. I would not force incubating project to do one thing versus another. Okay, I would leave free incubating project to experiment. So if, for example, if an incubating project wants to use something new, if it is acceptable, it will be okay for me. But for everything that we define official, that we provide an official support, we must standardize, in my opinion. This is my point. But of course, we have to discuss together what we want to do.
I vote for that, for sure.
Perfect, thank you. And the other, are there any questions about this? Okay.
Thank you.
And the other point for me is just an update from the last community call. Basically, I opened a request for the M chart if you want to take a look. And also the CNCF replied to me regarding the licensing issue with the UBI image. And basically, they just asked me to open an issue on their repository, and I did. This is the only update. I believe that they probably will add an exception for that. If you think or if you want to like other license, I believe you should comment in that issue or another issue on their repository.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
And the last item for today is from Dub.
Thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to announce that we posted a driver kit builder for Red Hat. If you guys could take a look at that, that would be awesome. I tagged a couple of you in there. Also, Leo, I mean, so with this, we should probably add this also to that licensing request, I imagine, right?
I guess so.
Yeah. The one thing I was wondering about is the use of the builder image tag, how we're using it here, if that's permitted.
Yeah, I think Leo can append this to the request about for the CNCF and see what the response is.
Cool. Great. Thanks, guys.
Huge work. Thank you a lot. Impressive. Okay. Thank you, Dab. Any extra topic for today? Or we are done, maybe? So, thank you, everybody. It was a really nice call, like any other one, but we have a lot more and more people involved in these calls and more technical discussions and advanced technical discussions, I think. Thank you all and see you next week.